What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. We are at my home shop tonight, and we are doing a little overtime, a little after hours project, which is gonna be on my 2022 Ford F450. So recently got this thing about a month and a half ago, and the plan is to sell my white F250 that I did the 2022 interior swap. So I had already previously swapped that back to stock. I took everything out of it, and now I have the full 2022 dash with the black leather interior and the black seats, the big 12-inch screen, the big pretty thing that everybody wants. So as of right now, let's call this truck about a $40,000 truck. And with this interior, I feel like we're gonna transform it into like a $70,000 truck just by doing that. Like this truck is so clean on the outside. It was kind of an over-the-road truck. It used to haul sheds and some stuff like that. It had a flatbed on it, and then the previous owner, they swapped it over to this bed right before I purchased it. And the interior, obviously, it was a work truck. It was worked in. It's an XLT, but it does have a power driver seat. But you can see a little bit of wear here. I went ahead, we did take it on a road trip to Arizona, to an event, and so I went ahead and put the leather steering wheel in it, but it still has the XLT gauge cluster, still has the 8-inch screen, which is not bad. This is definitely not a bad package of truck. You know, it has power things and all that other stuff. It does have a vinyl floor, which is kind of interesting. I guess you could order them like that as well. I think you could order platinum with a vinyl floor. So we're just gonna get right into this, and I'm gonna save you guys a lot of time. Obviously, this video was filmed a couple months ago, but number one is just to start pulling this thing apart, and this process took me about 2 weeks from start to finish to figure out this whole truck. And that's because I was really trying to make everything work with a complete 2021 platinum harness. So I was gonna have the keyless entry, like the remote start, all of that stuff, as well as the door handles that open, the dual climate control, all of that fancy stuff. You can see right now, we have this vinyl floor in here. I also got a carpet that we're gonna stick in it because the vinyl floor kind of cramps my style. But the main point of this whole video, I guess, is to kind of show you guys the process of swapping everything. And in the end, after a lot of frustration and complications, we ended up just sticking with the factory harness. So a lot of the work that I end up doing or did was kind of useless because there was a bunch of issues, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I'm just continuing pulling out this dash. At this point, I'm a professional. Things come out pretty easy once you've learned the whole process, but they're really heavy, and I don't recommend pulling them out by yourself, but if you need to, you can. So I'm completely removing the HVAC box because in order to get the dual climate control stuff to work, obviously it's a completely different system, completely different air box for at least underneath the dash. So there's different servos and modules and blend doors and stuff like that all need to be there in order for the dual climate control. I'm also switching out the entire chassis harness, so I had to remove the fender liners in order to gain access to replace all of that stuff in the front wheel wells. But yeah, the cab is pretty much all clean. I'm laying in the 2022 Lariat cab harness now, and as I go, I start looking at a couple things, looking at the modules, looking at a couple little differences in the wiring. And I think in this next clip is when I really start to realize what I got myself into, because up until this point, I thought everything was going to be pretty plug and play. Wiring harness is back in. You can see we got the e-brake, all that stuff on. We got the HVAC box. Everything is plugged in over there to the body control module. We have the wiring running up in here, plugged into the airbags. We have that thing plugged in over here, and all the wiring kind of cruising down the sides. Back here in the back, you can see we have everything for the amplifier, which is right over there. But I need to hook up this little guy right here for the airbags, and this door right here. This is that connector that goes right there. But everything is essentially laid out. There is a couple differences. So right here, this module, which is like a telecommunications module, which is for basically like a GPS. This harness is different, so it does not plug in. And the antennas are different, and they do not plug in. But I do have this module that actually came out of the truck that this body harness came out of, and all of that stuff should work. It's just it's different antennas and it's different wiring right here. The only other thing is there's this right here. So see that blue connector, how it kind of is split like that? All of the other connections that are like that are like this. So on the dash, so we have 22 dash harness, or 22 body control harness, but then we have a 2021 dash harness. And the 2021 dash harness is out of like basically like a platinum truck that has the push button start. So a couple differences, a couple variations. One other thing that was already different as well was the trailer brake control module. So this is module right there for the trailer brakes, and it did not plug in because again, this is a 22 Lariat harness, and this chassis is a 22 XLT harness, and that is interesting. There's a slight difference because the trailer brake module on the 22 XLT harness is like this. So you can see how big that guy is right there, the big trailer brake controller. We'll see on the 2022 Lariat harness with the dash, this is it right there. So you can see we have 4 wires, which are probably like, you know, power, ground, and then CAN data. So you can see that all right there. And this is because of the screen. The screen for that is too big and you cannot fit this next to the screen. So they did it like basically like a remote is what I'm assuming. So we might have an issue with that. Another thing, this is some other sort of module right there, but we don't have these wires in this harness because again, this is the 22 Lariat dash wiring harness, but I plugged it in and I fried some of the wiring right there. So that's what we did previously. Slight variations. Also, this has a OBD2 port. You can see OBD2 right here. It's just a white connector. Whereas if you come over to the OBD2 on this one, it's like its own module. So 21 dash wiring harness, but then we have the 22 Lariat stuff. And so again, there's slight differences, there's slight variations, and burned that harness. We found a 2021 dash with everything to do the push button start in theory, to where we could do push button start, and that was a 2021 Platinum truck. So there's a couple variations. Worst case scenario, I should be able to buy this 22 dash harness again, like OEM from the dealer, and should be able to buy that, plug it in, and then everything in theory should work. Or I could just fix the wires that burned in there, which it didn't mess up any of the modules because obviously I used the dash before, and go from there. So now is gonna be the big test. I'm pretty much just gonna grab the dash, I'm gonna stick it up in the truck, hook up the screen in the center, hook up the gauge cluster, hook up like the push button start things, hook up the center console because that's gonna have the wiring for the push button start to basically see the remote. And then I have to program the keys for the push button start, and then we can see if it'll start. And then even if we do get it started, then we might have to go through the issue of figuring out whatever is with the trailer brake control wiring, or you know, whatever is up with that. So lots of stuff to figure it out, but I guess I'm gonna try to figure it out. We are in testing stages right now. Have everything with the dash hooked up over here. Push button start. We have the screen in there. We don't have everything 100% plugged in and like where it goes, but we got a gauge cluster, we got a steering column, we got a bunch of things. This steering column does have the radar cruise control, so there's gonna be some slightly differences in that. It's gonna be a little bit upset. But overall, we should have the sensors in here. I have my keys right here. So I have 2 of the keyless entry keys. Hopefully what will happen is we'll key on, everything will be okay. Then I'm gonna connect it to the Ford IDS system. And then I'm gonna get a login for the Ford online and basically get security access in order to get online. Give this thing the A-OK to tell it that we're gonna program some stuff. So here we go. First battery. So we have headlights kicked on for a second. Okay, headlights turn on, that's good. What works and what doesn't. So we get in, push the start button. Screen turns on, that's good. but we don't have a green light over here at all, or anything really. So nothing, even like basically key on. With the previous setup, it would still key on. So the lock and unlock buttons don't work. So a lot of things don't work. So the screen might be the only thing that works, which is kind of how it almost was last time. So let's see, this thing isn't turning on either, but so let's see, here we go. We got CarPlay. So the screen works, but it's like the screen is the easiest thing to get to work. Everything else is what isn't fun to get to work. This is a push button start dash. It is not a push button start body control module and harness and all that other stuff. So that may be where an issue will lie. I wonder if ForScan will connect it and I could tell it that it's a keyless body control module. So dash is back out of the truck, and after doing a little bit more research, I need a push button start body control module. I don't think I could like reprogram it, since that one wasn't like coming online or letting me like try to program it or anything. I just decided, you know, I think my best chance at getting this thing actually up and operational without just a ton of other headaches and having to buy more things and wait longer would be to actually just take everything that I initially got, which was the 22 Lariat dash harness with the regular key, as well as the original dash, and then that dash harness actually matches the inside of the truck perfectly. So everything with like the trailer brake controller will be perfect and will work, so I won't have to figure out anything like that. It's just the simplest way to get everything working 100% right now. The only thing that won't work is obviously push button start or keyless entry, because we'll just have to use our regular key to start the truck, which, you know, at this point is fine. I just want to have the rest of the interior back together, and we can work on doing that in the future if I decide, or maybe I'll just freaking get the actual truck that has all that stuff from the factory in about a year or something. I had the issue with that harness before where I actually burned it up. So last night I went ahead and depinned this little harness, replaced the wire. It was literally only 2 wires. This one wire went all the way over here down to this connector, and there was one wire that it kind of cross-shorted, and it went up to about right here. So all I did was replace that one single wire, the wire over here, and then I took these wires out of the harness to actually run it to the screen. In order to get the 12-inch screen to power up in the new truck, there's this one connector with 3 wires, so power, ground, and a signal. You literally take that signal wire and run it over here to the APIM connector and plug it in, and then you take this wire, which is the power to the screen, I believe, and that just goes to the back of the screen. Just gives the screen 12 volts, power and ground. There's this other connector right here, which is for the airbag. There's like a little airbag sensor, like a little light on the dash, and you need that to plug that in. So those are basically the 3 things. You don't even need to do the airbag, but if you want to power up that screen in basically any truck, that's the secret right there. Is basically just give it that, hook up the signal wire so that the radio, the new knob, actually sends a signal to the radio to turn it on, and that's literally it. So getting the screen to power up and work is the simplest part. It's, you know, trying to change everything with the truck and get all the extra features and stuff like that is where I was running into the issue. So that's pretty much it. Now all I need to do, since that harness is all fixed up and ready to go, is literally just put it back in its original location and stick it in the truck, and hopefully turn the key. Everything should work like factory, heated, cooled seats, all the stuff, sound system, subwoofer, and the big screen, and everything should function 100% OEM. And that is the goal in this thing. So hopefully that's what we're doing, and then my truck won't be sitting in the shop for weeks while I'm waiting on figuring some stuff out. So I guess I'm just gonna continue with the project. So having a little bit of an issue with it now because trailer brake control module is a lot different on this. So if we key on, we go to all the things. Obviously I'm gonna change the mileage to the original, but take a look at this. So we track tire pressure, that's fine. Rear belt, but trailer brake module is the biggest thing. So not having a trailer brake control module in a freaking F450, that's not very good, because that's all this thing's gonna be doing. That's what it's built for, is towing, and if the trailer brakes don't work right now, that's just absolutely terrible. So one theory I have, well, technically this module right there is different. Luckily I had that module from the 22 Lariat truck. I think I'm gonna swap that BCM in. But if I put that BCM in, then that means I need to program keys, and I only have one key that came with this truck, and in order to program keys, you need to have 2 keys. So it means I'd have to go to the dealer, get another key, get it cut, do all that situation. But I mean, technically I could run and drive the truck on this BCM if the Lariat one works. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap in the Lariat one real quick. It should still let us key on and do all that stuff, but it might let us go through the monitors and see if the trailer brake stuff works. And if it's as simple as that, I'll order a key and we'll plug in this. So this is the 2022 Lariat BCM. So we'll see if that works. It's been a little while just trying to figure out this whole situation. It seems like it's just not communicating with a bunch of modules. Obviously there's certain ones like, you know, the driver's seat module, but you can see these are the modules it's connecting to, and then these are the ones that it's not connecting to. So HS2, HS3, HS4, MS1, MS2, none of that stuff. So these are all CAN signals. So high-speed CAN signal number 1, which has the PCM, APIM, TCM, and everything on it, is communicating. So you can see it's communicating with the APIM, but it's not communicating with some of the other stuff. The orange stuff it is communicating with, but these ones, it's not communicating at all. Yeah, so you could even see it's not communicating with the ABS, the audio control module. It is communicating with driver or with the body control, but gateway module, it's not connecting with that. Instrument panel, so there has to be something somewhere, something with the CAN bus system, or maybe a wire that is mad. Obviously there's, look at that, trailer brake control, like none of this is connected at all. So nothing's responding. That leads me to believe that that is our issue, is some sort of communication with it. Whether it's a wire or something just mad. So just need to figure that out. And I don't think I'm gonna figure it out tonight. I have no clue at this point what is going on. I spent last night out here really late just looking at stuff, looking at the diagrams, looking at a bunch of like Ford's diagnostic stuff. If you go to their webpage, the Ford service, if you pay that like $26 or whatever, you could get like 72-hour access to their like full dealer stuff, which goes through their whole diagnostic stuff. So when I plug in the code that it had for the trailer brake module, it essentially just gave me this whole breakdown of like how to check the CAN system, how to check the CAN system on the 12-inch screen versus like the regular thing. Because essentially these trucks in 2022, when they switched to the 12-inch screen, they actually switched to a gateway module. So you'll see right here that OBD2 port is white and it does not have like the big little module on it. So essentially the whole entire network communication of this whole truck, it's pretty much like an internet is what it seems like. There's like high speed 1, high speed 2, high speed 3, high speed 4, MS1, MS2, and it's literally like a network, and it's going through the network checks and it does not see anything. The only CAN system, the only network that's actually working right now is HS1, and that's for the body control module and the powertrain control module. Everything else runs through the gateway module, which is that guy right there. So I don't know, for some reason, like in my head, everything should work because we have the 22 Lariat cab harness, 22 Lariat dash harness. We even put in the 22 Lariat body control module just to make sure that everything was 100% right. I connected it through with this thing right here. So this is a Ford VCM2. That's literally, I think, almost the best thing that you could get from Ford. It's literally what they use at the dealer to program things, monitor stuff. I logged in with FDRS, which is like the new program to check everything, and man, it's just not working. It could be something as simple as one wire doesn't have power, or one fuse is blown, but I checked all the fuses, I checked all of that stuff, and if you take a look right here, I just took a picture of it on my phone. I should have filmed a little bit more of this, but you'd see right here, so this is high speed 1, so you could see the test results for that. So PCM, APIM, and the BCM. You can see everything else. So the gray basically means that it's not connected. The orange mean that it connected and it has basically DTCs, and the green means that it's good to go. So every one of these should be green in theory. So ABS, gateway module. So you can see that gateway module, which literally is basically everything for the entire truck, is not working correctly. For now, I'm gonna stick this dash in it real quick, just make sure everything is communicating for now with the Lariat harness, and then just go from there. So I went ahead and pulled the 22 Lariat dash out with the big screen. So I pulled that out. I put the factory just 22 XLT screen, the factory one that came with the truck. As you can see, the things, you know, it does work. But the big thing that I was curious about was it going to communicate with everything with like the body harness? So you can see that there is some codes in there, but it is communicating with all of the modules other than like those two right there. That's a trailer module, and then this is like the side impact module right there. It means that there's something wrong with this harness. Obviously this was the one that I fixed and had the little wires that burned, and who knows, something could have melted, something could have done something silly. The gateway module could just be bad. Like that could be the whole problem with this whole setup, is literally it could just be the gateway module. But it does turn on, it does get power, but it was not communicating at all. So, I mean, this could just be bad. I would like to keep Lariat body harness in it, because then I feel like at least a higher chance of like the seats and stuff working. But if we don't do that, then I don't really know. So kind of what I want to do at this point is pull that dash back out, pull the wiring harness off of it, put it in this dash right here, plug it in, see what it does with the Lariat body harness. The only one issue that we're gonna have though is something with the trailer brake control module. So I'm not sure exactly what we do with that, but it is showing that it is communicating with it, and I did the little squeeze test on it, and it showed that, you know, it said that the trailer was disconnected. So I wonder if something like that, but again, the whole point of this truck is to tow with it, and if the trailer brakes don't work, that's just stupid. Worst case scenario, we put the stock body harness in it with the stock dash harness. In the 22 thing, we get the 12-inch screen to work. We put in the Lariat seats, and we run a power wire to the passenger one. We have the power to seats, but we don't have heated, cooled, and that could be it. But man, it's just silly, because this, you know, if I would have just done this to begin with, like this thing would have been done days ago. But again, I wanted everything. I'm getting not greedy. I just wanted everything to work, and I thought I was doing the work in order to make things work. But here we are. It has been 2 days. You guys ready for this? Decided to just put the truck basically back to stock wiring harness. So the 2022 XLT body harness, dash harness, but I am putting the 2022 Lariat dash in here. So the only thing I had to do was wire in these two plugs, power, ground, and one reference wire that goes to the API. Other than that, a lot of stuff in the truck isn't gonna work. The power seats will work, they'll go forward, back. I have to give the passenger side just a power, and it should go forward, back, up, down, all the stuff. Driver should be fine how it is. No heated, no cooled, no dual climate control, no auto climate control, no subwoofer, no factory like B&O sound system or any of that stuff. In theory, everything else should work, and the truck should communicate. I kind of dug into the 2022 harness again last night. I undid everything that I did. I double checked everything, and nothing else looked burnt in the harness. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, it could have just been the gateway module was just messed up. Maybe it got shocked when we plugged everything else in, and the gateway module was bad. And maybe that was it. Maybe I should have been a little bit more patient and just maybe ordered one of those. But we're just kind of at the point where, you know, we're doing some other stuff with my white truck right now, and I can't have this thing down for very much longer, because, you know, I mean, I'm a truck and trailer guy, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much it. Gonna lose a lot of features. I went ahead and pulled out the dual climate control box as well. We do need to swap one thing over, which is this right here. So this is the guy that sends the air to the back of the console. So obviously with the kids and all that stuff, we want to be able to send some cool air to the back, and especially on road trips and stuff, that's really nice. Really all I need to do is take that little thing, cut out a little hole. That should all work for the other thing. So that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna get to work. I don't know if I'm gonna time lapse or anything, but yeah, basically factory harness back in. I already have everything pretty much done in the dash. All I need to do is do cab harness, HVAC box, and then I should be able to stick the dash in, and then we'll do the carpet, and then the seats and the console. And it's gonna look sick. It's gonna look sick. It's gonna work just fine. I'll be able to add in an aftermarket subwoofer behind the seats and stuff later, so no problem with that. But just a little bum that I've spent so much time, because literally in the first night I had this truck completely stripped down and the dash out of it. The next day I could have literally put the wiring harness in the new dash, wired up 3 wires, put the carpet in, put the seats in it, and been done in like 2 days, like start to finish. I wouldn't have had to do anything. The cab harness, I wouldn't have had to pull anything out of the engine bay. I wouldn't have had to discharge the AC. This thing would have went quick, like super quick. And you know, again, it's just one of them things. Hard lesson learned. And you know, sometimes they say the best lessons are the ones that cost the most, you know. And in this term, it's just a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of other stuff, but so many differences in these things. Essentially what I've learned, the 22 XLT is essentially the same as a 20 to 21, like Lariat, all the other stuff, like all of that stuff is very similar. But the 22 with the dual climate control is more so like a 2023, which is just a completely different system. And again, everything goes through that gateway module, and we had no communication. And I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have just tried to get a gateway module, but figured out. It's gonna work. So maybe in the future, if I ever want to waste another week of my life, I could try to mess with that. Or I could say, you know what, we'll just sell this one and get on the auction and find a wrecked Platy, which is I think ultimately what I'd like to do, get a wrecked Platy, put it together, or just drive this one and freaking be happy because it's an amazing truck. And it's just a tool, and I think that's what I need to start looking at it as, more of a tool. So piecing together the interior, got the carpet in here, got the full console, got the driver's seat, got the dash. As you can see, screen is working, HVAC stuff is working, but again, this is only doing basically one side at a time, so no dual climate control and no auto function. Well, maybe. It kind of does it a little bit. If you tell it a little bit, it kind of adjusts the fan, but I don't think it adjusts the temperature. Maybe it does. I don't know. We have the Lariat cluster, which works. The buttons right here don't work to anything because I didn't have puddle lights, but everything else seems to be working. I went ahead and kind of modified this thing for the brake controller. So brake controller and everything works. That's actually right there where it needs to be, and it looks pretty good right there. So a couple issues we have right now. So we have power to those ports right there, and we have power to this guy right here, to that cigarette lighter. But in the back, we don't have power to this one. It's kind of weird. And there's also another one in the center console, and that also doesn't have power either. So I'm not sure exactly why. Also, driver's seat does not have power. It does not move. I think I have to rewire some stuff with, basically there's a memory module in there, and you essentially bypass the memory module in order to get the driver's seat to work. And then obviously the passenger seat does not have any power going to it at all. And so it just doesn't move. But yeah, it's nice to see the interior of this thing kind of coming back together and looking really nice. I'm gonna be super stoked once this thing is all done, but definitely need to run some power to the seat. Gonna run some extra power probably to the center console, because there is a connector, like one of these style connectors right here. Here's one of those that is just missing power all the way around. So I have some spare connectors because of the extra harnesses and stuff. And so I should be able to just take that and go ahead and give it power, and then it should power everything in the console, and basically make a plug and play thing so I don't have to jump anything or do anything silly. But yeah, then we should be able to put back seats. I'm gonna try to figure out a subwoofer and stuff in here too. And because honestly, like the white truck, we have that little kicker subwoofer in the back of it, and it's plenty, sounds really good. So yeah, I think that's it for tonight. It's a little bit late, but I like the look of the carpet and the black leather and all that stuff. So I'm not sure if I showed you guys in that last clip, but this center console didn't have any power. And that's because it was missing the plug that actually goes up into the dash. This plug right here, I believe, has a lot to do with the little AC inverter right here, and not much to do with that plug right there. But the little harness that actually goes into the dash needed that. So I went ahead, kind of backtraced the wires, made sure everything was good, and I just made a little jumper harness into the factory cigarette lighter plug that would normally be right there. So basically we split that cigarette lighter, so we have power right here, and we have power in the one in the center console right there. And that's always just nice to, you know, charge extra stuff in there. So that stuff works good. The passenger seat right here, it already has power, so I double checked this. So no, pin 21 right there is power on the edge. And then you could see right here, so this in the middle is 14, 15, 16. This 16th pin right there is actually ground, but I had to swap it over because on these harnesses, it was actually in number 17. So I basically just depinned it real quick, moved it over to number 16, and I went ahead and plugged in the passenger seat already, and it has full power forward and backward. So we have power in the console, we have power to the passenger seat. The next thing that we really need to do is hook up the driver's seat and get power to that. But kind of piecing together a little bit more of the interior, got the little edges in, got these guys in, got the back seat in. Really happy with how everything looks with the carpet. I just, you know, big fan of the carpet. So yeah, all this little trim is in, black leather seats in the back. That's all in there and all good. Basically just need to do the weather stripping, but I think I'm gonna do another little subwoofer behind the back seat back there. So before I get too far and piecing together all that stuff, obviously, and I wanna make sure I have all the power hooked up as well. So went ahead and got the truck all washed up. Went ahead and put on the front fender liners and the front fender flares. Got the whole front end of it put back together, which that was for a separate thing. But 450 is coming together really good now that we have the interior all back together. So I just need to throw in the floor liners in here, get this thing looking all brand new. So I really like these Husky Exact Contour floor liners. They just fit the truck so well. They fit in there, they feel really good, and they're not like super hard and plasticky where they like fold up the edges like a couple of the other brands. We actually sell these on motionautoperformance.com. If you guys want some floor liners or a bunch of other parts, you could hit us up on there and just go there, your make, model, and see what we have in stock for your ride. You can see right here in the back, this thing is you know, basically a bare naked carpet, and it's kind of silly because I pulled out the vinyl floor just to put in these, but I just like the way the truck feels with carpet. So back seats, everything is in here. So pretty much just need to put in the floor liners. We have one other modification that we would like to do, and that involves these mirrors right here. So these are non-power fold, non-paintable mirrors. So what we're gonna do is actually get a set of power extend and power fold mirrors, because that is one huge feature that I miss about doing on this truck, and we'll probably do that maybe in an upcoming video. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these floor liners on. It does help to set these things out in the sun for a couple minutes before you throw them in, because they have been sitting in the box. Floor liners installed, they look super nice. Like I said, just love the way these things fit. They just contain everything. So obviously I have two daughters, and the last truck we have the same exact thing, and they spilled a whole drink and it all got right there, didn't affect the carpet at all. It has been a few weeks of me actually living with this truck since I got the interior swap done. And tell you what, I absolutely love it. Opening the door and seeing the black seats and the nice leather wrap steering wheel, the console, the full 12-inch screen, especially considering that it had the old seats with the little tear and stuff right there. The carpet, the floor liners, everything about this thing just makes the truck super nice. So the wireless CarPlay, a lot of those features are just absolutely amazing, and that's one of the main reasons I wanted to switch to this whole dash. Obviously it was super complicated. If you guys want the short answer, if you're dealing with an XLT truck, it's easier to just use all of the factory wiring in the truck and wire up the screen, and then wire up power to the seats. I will put a link in the description. There's a guy on YouTube, I watched his whole video, and it helped me out a ton with wiring up the driver and the passenger seat, bypassing that memory module right there. I did install the door panels. You do have to do some different stuff with the switch right here, but the door panels are awesome. Everything about the whole interior is super sweet. I do kind of miss the cooled seats and the heated seats, and I think if I were to have had the full chassis wiring harness or the cab harness out of the 21 Platinum and the 21 Platinum body control module, I think I would have been able to get to everything to work. So I know this video was a little wordy, a little talky. There's so much to explain, and I was doing this over the course of like 2.5 weeks, you know, kind of nights and weekends here at the shop, just here at my house trying to figure out all this stuff. But if you guys watched this video and you appreciated it, you enjoyed it, maybe it helped you swap the interior of your Super Duty, or maybe it kept you from swapping the interior of your Super Duty because it was complicated, be sure to give this video a like. But appreciate you guys watching this video. Thank you guys for sticking around, and we got some more upgrades coming for this thing soon, so see you later.